when you come to the Father, he's just so glad to have you there. We need to begin there. That being said, I just really believe that the critical piece is to listen. And I think that's where we go off the rails. That's where we go off the track. How do you listen to an invisible God? And a critical word, if you've heard me say this so many times, Jared, in sermons, but if you remember nothing else, remember this.
That's right.
It's the word abide. It's the word abide. How often the word abide means to hang out with, to dwell with, to stay with. And how do we abide with the Father? And Psalm 1 says it all right there. It says we abide with the Father when we meditate on the word. And meditate is something we carry in throughout the rest of the day. I grew up with a little devotion from Concordia Publishing House called Little Visits with God. I love that devotional booklet. I just didn't like the title. Little Visits with God. That's the problem in our faith journey. We have little visits with God, and then we go away and we do our thing. I want it to be that when I'm in the Word and when I'm in prayer, that when I leave that and go on with the day, I'm continuing to abide in that Word. I'm continuing to abide in His presence. And we can talk more about that because that gets us pretty deep quick into the pool of all this. But very simply, abiding to me is taking a particular word, whatever you're reading, the Bible, a devotion, you take a word of God, just a phrase, and you take it to heart, and the rest of the day you just chew on that. You just carry it wherever you're going. You pray it. And when you abide in that way, I think you're fulfilling 1 Thessalonians 5 that says, pray without ceasing. Well, how do you pray without ceasing? I think it's just abiding in His presence, abiding with His word in me. So I think the way you do it is you go to listen for whatever way God speaks a word that just grabs at your heart. One last thought, Derek, when I'm praying the word, I read the Psalms every day. It's the prayer book, and we'll talk about that in a moment. When I'm praying the word and I'm reading a particular psalm, when a certain phrase, when a certain word in a verse strikes my heart, when the Spirit says, Barry, pay attention to this, I stop reading. I've disciplined myself to just stop reading and to focus on what is this phrase, what is this word, what is this verse saying to me? And I use the vocabulary of that verse to shape the vocabulary of my prayer.